Grand rising to the Moors, Islam Moors. Okay, we finally got it together.
Islam, my sister.
Okay, Islam. I'm going to go ahead. Yeah, thank you. Let's see. So, just a couple of announcements. And they're not really announcements. It's just stuff that we talk about in our nation. So, by now, hopefully it is clear that the whole earth knows that we are awake. Hopefully that is clear. If it's not quite clear to you, then go ahead and make sure that you kind of notice the news and notice what they're doing and notice those actions that they're doing over there, and know that everything that they're doing it in response to our awakening. Okay. Everyone knows that we're together and that we're unified, and that is actually the energy that they needed to see on their end. Even though we're not performing for anyone, we do what we do because we're the government and we're the law. But there were so many of us demonstrating in unity on the same letterhead and saying the same thing that we actually broke the corporate spell of capitalism in the minds of the masses. Okay? And that is huge. It's huge because some of them didn't think we would ever wake up. And some were banking on us never waking up. And others wanted us to hurry up and wake up. And now they all know that the heirs are awake and that we are speaking very loud, very clearly. We're speaking on the public record, and that's how we speak. We speak by affidavit on the public record. And they're seeing that, and there's no dispute based on the fact that we're speaking in that manner. Unity, because we've been speaking with the same one voice, and that one voice being all of us speaking on government letterhead, all of us, looking the same, we're unified on the record, we're unified. Unity has multiplied our impact exponentially. Exponentially. It's one thing for one of us, and I want to say I honor the Moors who've been demonstrating for 20 and 30 years. I honor them because they stood even when the majority of us were still asleep. And since that time, they had a very powerful impact. I don't ever want to take away from that, ever. In a million years, I couldn't. They're sovereign. And no one has a greater impact than a sovereign. Our unity has multiplied our impact. And that, when I say our, I mean all of you. Even if you've only told someone one time that you're a Moorish American national, that is part of the impact that has broken the corporate capitalism spell on the minds of the people. Because this whole land, make no mistake about it, was under a spell. Make no mistake about it, this entire land, all of the lands, in fact, were under a spell of capitalism, and that spell is how we were enslaved. We did not realize that we were supposed to be, doing everything in lowercase letters, but we know now, and we're so grateful to the ancestors for that. So, before I say this next piece, we do know that everything, our identities and everything has been misrepresented by those who are who colonized our land. Everything has been misrepresented. And in saying that, let me say that everything, including the recent, well, the time that we're in now, okay, we are in the very beginning of the 40 days of what is called Passover. However, the Albions and those capitalists, whenever they talk about Passover, they always capitalize that word. They put a capital P in okay.
I'm in your ass. Fuck courts. Fuck the courts.
Okay. We are in that 40 days of Passover time, and we're in Passover with a lowercase p. What does that mean? It means many things. Many things. It means many things. One of the many things that it means is that our ancestors knew that this time would come where the previously occupying commercial mercenaries would roll out something that they're calling, in all capital letters, COVID-19, coronavirus plan. That's a plan, just so you know. It is a plan. And therefore, by the command of our ancestors, we are not included in the capitalist COVID-19 corporate jurisdiction nor their systems. So that means we don't let them stick anything up our nose, tampering with our DNA. We do not, and actually we have ONA. They have DNA. We have oxyribonucleic acid without the DI. We don't let them stick things in our arms, needles in our arms, and all of that. We don't let them do things like that, okay, because that is DNA tampering, and they are openly admitting that that's what they're doing, okay. We don't allow anyone to tamper with the DNA of the nobility because our ONA, rather, is precious. Their systems, this whole Passover thing, is that COVID-19, the plan itself has passed over the heirs. None of the heirs have that, COVID-19. None of the heirs. We've not gotten a single report of any heirs claiming that spell, because that's all it is a spell that is being claimed by people who have an agenda. Okay. Their systems also include, just a moment, their systems also include their census, okay? We don't need them to count us. We are already counted on the public record anyway. Everyone who has placed a document out there on the public record has been counted, okay? That's an automatic, okay? Just one moment. So we don't have to deal with their system, okay? We're not a part of it, nor, because the census is a capitalism piece. That's a capitalism thing. We don't do capitalism, okay? And the thing is, if you claim capitalism in one contract, it puts you into all of the other ones. And then you have to do another, you have to terminate the corporate contract again. So that's why we don't do the census thing, because we don't want them putting us back in their system. Okay. Their capitalism, they told you that, but that's not what you have, because you don't have animal DNA. If you have animal DNA, you might have had it. I see something in the chat saying that, and we know that some of those in the chat are not necessarily. So anyway, yeah, and viruses are things that come from animals. That's why they keep trying to point to a bat. But we don't have animal DNA. Albions do have animal DNA. We don't have that. And so we don't want to focus on the sickness and the coronavirus and all that because that has nothing to do with us, okay? And the census, if you fill that paperwork out, which we do not do under any circumstances, then they're going to actually go back through their whole system and make sure that you're in there with regard to taxes, okay, their courts, their jails, their policy enforcers. They put those people back into that system, especially now that we have said we're not a part of their system. Okay? And now that we've said that we're not a part of their system, we're not going to keep contracting with them so that they can run everything back through their system. There's a reason why they tie everything together like that. Okay? They tie everything together. They have one system. And no matter what contract is signed, it flips a whole bunch of other switches in that system that can cause us to be bound or bonded or in jail or whatever the case may be, or on their list. And we don't, as a citizen, and we don't want to be on their list as a citizen because we're not. We never were. Okay? So we're passing over all of that. All of that is passing right on past the Moors. Okay? All of that's passing by the Moors. All of it. We are proclaiming this Passover, and we know that Passover means when you see the blood on the doorpost, and the blood is this right here, our flag, and the blood of the heirs. When you see that, just pass on by them because they don't have anything to do with your capitalism system. That is going to be very important in the next coming days, months, years. That's going to be the most important thing we can do is state on the public record our bloodline and birthright, because there's going to be a bunch of stuff that needs to be passed over. But this next 40 days and actually this next 6 months, we need to be sure that we are passed over by that. And yes, Justice Juramore says in the chat, everyone needs to fly their colors now too. Yes, if you have a Moorish American flag, fly it, okay? We have one outside of the consulate here, and whenever I go out in public, I'm always wearing you will very rarely find me without a turban and my flag pinned on the top, right in the front, right above my pineal gland. You'll very rarely see me without that. And if I don't have that, I have my flag pinned on my lapel in some way. So you're always going to know that, again, no matter who looks and attempts to approach, they're going to know they're looking at an heir who should be passed over where capitalism actions are concerned, okay? When it comes to policy enforcers and fake courts, and I've said this previously, I'm going to say it again really quickly, if the Moors, each one of you, if you are not governing in your territories, you cannot complain about policy enforcers and fake courts. You can't. If you're not leaning in your territory, you can't complain about them. If you're not demonstrating your nationality, you can't complain about them. If you're not holding court actions, you can't complain about them. Because guess what? There's going to be 3 actions that happen. There's going to be an approach, a lien, and a court action. And those 3 things have been what each one of us has dealt with when we thought we were citizens over there. An approach, and then a lien where they send a bill or they send a court warrant with a dollar amount on it, a fake fiat amount on it, and a court action either before, during, or after that. And if you're not doing that in your territories, they're going to do it. If you're not doing that in there has, in every territory, and I don't care if it's 5 Moors on the same block, all of you in that territory should be doing liens and court actions on everything. You're the real courts and the real enforcers. You're the real justice on the land, and it is your national duty and sovereign responsibility to lien all occupiers and call them into your sovereign court if they are not honoring the sovereign status of the heirs. Know that there will be court actions in every territory. You determine whether it will be a sovereign Moorish court or a corporate court by your actions. That is how the determination is made on who's doing court actions in that territory. If the Moors aren't doing it, those state courts will attempt to. All mailings that come to our sovereign mailing locations in all capital letters shall be liened and judged by the sovereign Moorish Americans. So if you're thinking, I don't have anything going on, I don't have any, they're not attempting to lien by tickets and, parking tickets, et cetera, because those are all liens. Mortgage companies are not attempting to lien. Okay, well, any other thing that comes to the mailing location should be liened. That corporation should be, if it's in all capital letters, that corporation should be liened, and then they should be called into your sovereign court. And you need to ask them, why are you using capitalism on our land mass when we threw that stuff out of here? Every policy enforcer interaction whereby they are not in subject status shall be judged by the sovereign Moorish American. And that is notice to principal, is notice to agent is notice to principal. I spoke to him more recently, and he was calling because he had been stopped. He was just walking down the street, traveling by foot in the jurisdiction of his ancestral inherited estate. And he was stopped by a policy enforcer who pulled up and began to try to exert jurisdiction. Just walking. And the policy enforcer told him he was walking on the wrong side of the road. Okay. Well, upon further, and I'm not going to say any appellations because, again, we're all just waking up. This is not a bash of him, but we got to get this straight. And in order to get it straight, we got to talk about it as a nation. So when I asked him, well, because a lot of times the response to the questions that we ask will say what's going on. A lot of times it will tell us, hey, And so I asked him, where do you domicile? He said, I reside in blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, you don't reside anywhere. Reside, we know what that means. That means that you're identifying as property in some corporate state, which is, Moors can never do that. And so I asked a few more questions and got a few more corporate answers. And so I said, well, have you attended any of the meetings or anything? No, I haven't. And I'm like, okay. So are you on social media at all? I'm on social media, and this is important. Just a moment. I'm on social media, but I'm only on social media to promote my business. Okay? And I'm like, okay, this is one thing I wanted to say to the Moors. Just a moment. Let me stop that. Nationalle Bay, if you'll stay muted, that'll be great. *6. Okay. But my first response to him saying he's on social media but he's promoting a business is this. If you think, and this goes for all Moors, you need to hear me. Please hear me on this. Please hear me. I'm saying it in love, but it's the truth. Any Moors who are doing commerce right now under that corporate status, under that corporate system, it's not going to prosper because that system is going away. It's going away. So they're finding every debt that they can put on those who are attempting to go out there and do corporate business. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. It's not even working for Donald Trump and all of those people who know that system. So it's certainly not going to work for an heir who should not be in that system in the first place. The capitalism system is not where we do business. We don't do commerce in there. And yes, it is gone already, Justice Yezreel. It's gone already. It's finished. And so this is what I said to him. Okay, and I try to make sure that I say things in love, but I'm going to tell you the truth because the truth is like, it's abrasive right now for some of us because we're just waking up, but you got to hear it because no one told us. If you think that you're going to do commerce without this nation being built and us governing on our own land, think again. Our first priority must be the standing of our government and of our nation. That's even written in the prophecies and in the Septuagint and in the Biblioteliotheque and the Maccabees and the Apocrypha and all of that. That if the people who are chosen, and that's us, that's the Moors, we know that, that's what the bloodline and birthright is all about. If we think we're going to build a little fiefdom of our own, while this whole land is under capitalization, and we're not working together in unity to build this nation, we got another thought coming. And if we all thought that way, every last one of us would be jailed under capitalist names. We must unify further, because we're unified, I love that. But we must unify even further, closer, so that we can stand, all of us, in our sovereignty, okay? All of us. When anyone who walks into a room filled with Moors, if they ask who's in charge, we all should stand up and be competent to do so. That's what sovereigns are all about. That's why we're so powerful, because even one sovereign can chase 1,000 and two can put 10,000 to flight. Not to mention a whole room full of sovereigns. That's earth conquering. We're already there. We must be competent to stand, and guess what? We're there, Moors. We're there. We just have to keep working and keep going, keep notifying, keep slapping those affidavits out there in all lowercase letters. So, you know, all commerce must be done outside of the corporate structure. All of it. With you, but even the ones, again, and this is why we say all, that's why we have the L and the Bay and all of that. Why? Because we must first be governing at law in order for commerce to continue. I can't open a business or a commercial venue and not know the law and not be able to judge whoever comes in there claiming to regulate a sovereign. It's actually best, and this is a suggestion because you can't tell sovereigns what to do because sovereigns are sovereign. Okay? It is suggested that you learn to do the court actions before you proceed any further in the commercial piece. Because as we move further in this growth, this grand rising, we are going to be, and we already are, the commerce, the universal commerce on the earth. We are that. But you can't, and that's why they filled their quote-unquote Congress with quote-unquote attorneys, because they know that all commerce starts right there with the law. All of it. We are unlimited and unstoppable because each and every one of us is a justice and a consul. Each and every one of us. And on top of that, we're scientists and merchants and universal commercial titans. Every last one of us. I would feel comfortable doing commerce now because I already know that the policy enforcers in this area have been put in place where our court actions are concerned. They know it, we know it. And as subjects, they're in their rightful place. You all have to do the same thing in your territories if you haven't done it already, because many Moors have already done that. They put them already in place in the subject status and not above the Moors, using capitalization, using capital letters and corporate speak to exert some judicial something that doesn't exist for them over the Moors. You must. This is a must. We cannot rule the earth. And that's why it's called ruling the earth, because it's about the law. And lastly, Moors are to be congratulated for coming together in unity and speaking so powerfully. So how do we continue to proceed in our sovereign authority on the land? How do we do that? We do that the same way that we have discovered and gained the earth-wide momentum that we currently have. We do it the same way. Okay? And Justice Michelle, charity begins at home? Absolutely, Empress. She knows that. Listen, and judgment begins at home too. I actually had to lean and do a default judgment on those all caps. And the one that was that has a capital P and a capital R with all lowercase letters, that was pretending to be the sovereign me. I had to lean that because judgment begins at home. That is actually a something that applies to us both in our sovereign solo status, in proprio solo, as well as a nation. So I had to lean those two things, okay? Whoever it is on the 313 number, you have unmuted several times. I'm going to have to ask you not to do that, please. Okay. So this is how we proceed. We keep studying and demonstrating. We know that. And we work to get closer and closer together in unity so that we are impenetrable as a nation, okay? And that starts at home as well. Closer in our territories, okay? Every brown face you see is a Moor, just about. There are some who are not, but we know how to identify our brothers and sisters who are Moors as well. So we need to start, continue making those connections in our territory. And then how do we maintain our impenetrable force field around our nation? Because we do have, it's something that no one can break. Our bond, and it's not even a bond, it's more, it's an arc. an ark of the covenant. No one can penetrate that electromagnetic arc that we have around our nation. So how do we keep it? Just a minute. Okay. So this is important, and I'll talk briefly about it, and then we'll move to the treaty, because we just have a few more articles that we need to go over. So how do we do that? Listen, Morris. There have been enough negative spells cast on us and on our nation. Speak positively over your nation. Speak positively over your brothers and sisters. And listen, stay away from anybody who's not speaking positively over this sovereign nation until they grow to the point where they realize that they're casting spells. We're going to need one another, whether we know, whether they're connected, pulled away from that matrix over there and tied into their nation. We're going to need one another, and nobody's perfect, so we don't throw anybody out, because we can't. They have the blood. That's comforting to know that no matter what we do, we're still part of the nation. But just move away from them until they grow to the point where they feel like they don't have to keep casting those negative spells, because when you cast a negative spell, your word will not return unto you void, but it's going to return unto you. And then the spell is cast on you that you put on somebody else. And if that person is tied into their nation, the spell is not going to work on them. And then you're stuck with the thing that came out of your mouth, because sovereigns are that powerful. Whatever we say is going to go out because it's energy. And then, Latash, I keep muting you because there's a little bit of background noise back there. Latasha, Islam. Speaking positively does not mean that we don't discuss issues. We have to discuss the issues because we're not minors anymore. Okay, we must discuss the issues. That's why we're here, to discuss what's going on in our nation. Policy enforcers, fake courts, liens on us, all of the above, all of that. Okay, but it means that we always discuss issues with the goal in mind of solution and resolution or resolution with nobility, and we can do that and still maintain our nobility. We must discuss the issues. We're the government and we're the law. We must. We are the earth's preeminent spellcasters. And when we can prove that by looking at the condition that, we can prove that by looking at the condition that we were in when we thought we were black. Someone was always saying, casting spells on us, blacks can't get it together. We weren't black, we never were, okay? But that was their first spell, is black and then looking at us. That's the first spell right there. And then blacks can't get it together. They can't unify. That's one of the first ones they said, and tried to cast that mess over on us when they know it's them. And then we had the audacity to repeat that. Okay? So let's not do that on this side. We know who we are now. Let's not do that. And then there was another one where they say, for the Moors who are Christians, I'm hoping I don't offend you with this one, but they always said, we can't do nothing without Jesus. When we're sitting up here, Yeshua in the flesh. No wonder we didn't accomplish anything, because we was looking out there. And the third thing, and then I'll get off this one because I could stay on this all day, but I'm not going to do that. I won't bore you with that. But black people don't read. That's okay. Again, the black spell. We're not black. And on this side over here, oh yes, we do read. In fact, we read regularly, okay? Regularly we read.
Islam.
Hold on for just a moment. Just a moment. Okay, we do read. We say reading. And that's how we've been able to accomplish what we've accomplished thus far. We've been able to accomplish all that we've accomplished by reading. And we're going to keep that going. Okay, so that I don't want to go too far off away from the from what we were talking about, but listen, Moors, we got this wrapped up, lock, stock, and barrel. We got it, lock, stock, and barrel. Okay, we don't have to make excuses for ourselves anymore. We got the information now. We have the information, and anything that we don't have, we just ask other Moors. It's clear that no one else is going to teach us. That's clear. Enough with the excuses. We got this. Let us stand. Everything that's being done on this earth right now is because of the activity of the Moors. Everyone has to stop doing what they're doing when the sovereigns speak. That's the stoppage. A coronavirus don't affect diamond mines, but they had to stop doing everything they were doing because the heirs have spoken, and we're going to keep speaking. Okay, having said that, long live the empire, grand rising to the Moors. We do want to take a few more minutes and go over the last few articles of the treaty. We stopped at Article 21. This is the one, again, where the word citizen, okay, and this is why we have to do this. We must decapitalize this. And the reason we have to decapitalize it is because there is, in this particular article specifically, a switch in the statuses, okay? And that switch in the statuses from the citizens and the Moors was sneakily done by capitalizing the word Moor. And when you capitalize the word Moor, that lowers the status. But then when you put citizens in all lowercase letters, the citizens have a higher status. And if you want to do the study on that, study in Capitis Diminutio Minima. And it will tell you that when you lowercase the letters, that the status, even the legal status, which we don't do legal, we do lawful. Even the legal status is raised when lowercase letters are used. And so Article 21 is what actually rung the bell for me. And I started looking at all of our documents, all of them. And they all have been hypothecated. The temple documents have been hypothecated. They have capital letters on them. The Zodiac Constitution has capital letters on it. We must decapitalize that. When it has capital letters on it, it can be placed on the stock market. We're not slaves and we're not stock. And that's what this is all about. And that's why that system over there is not working. Because the heirs have said, we are not slaves and we're not using capitalism. So Article 21 says, and look at it carefully, those who have your treaty, the one that is signed and stamped by the Library of Congress, and for those who can see the screen, It has this cover sheet where it's stamped and sealed by Shirley M. Berry, acting chief, and, you know, she was just doing her job. She was just doing what they told her to do. Now we're doing our job. Look at the capitalization of this document, okay? Look on Article 21 says the following. If a citizen of the United States should kill or wound a Moor, or on the contrary, if a Moor should kill or wound a citizen of the United States, the law of the country shall take place and equal justice shall be rendered, the consul assisting at the trial. And if any delinquent shall make his escape, the consul shall not be answerable for him in any manner whatever. The word citizen is in all lowercase letters, and there's a reason why they did that. Just like what we've been saying about capitalization. And they did the same thing with the Constitution. I see some things about the Constitution being framed. Yes. And if that's what they mean by framed, they did that with every single document out there. And as the government, we must do that. It's our job as the government on this land. Go ahead, Empress Picola. Go ahead. Sorry about that. On our land, we must decapitalize everything. Yes, we have been framed since 1492. I see that in the chat. Yes. And so when you look at Article 21 of the treaty that they produced, because they're not going to produce anything that has our status as being sovereign. That's our job. That's our job. They weren't supposed to put out a treaty that was going to say that the sovereigns are the law of the land. We were supposed to do that. And then we're doing the treaty by affidavit. So we're not really treating with them. We're just saying this is what's going on the public record. We're in charge. And at any time, we can take this affidavit straight off the public record and throw you all out of here if you don't honor our sovereignty, period. And no, you don't get to take any of our resources with you. The only way that they had access to the resources is using capitalization to do it. That's the only way they had access to them, is they did a capitalization of the documents that said we were the heirs. And then they switched it like they did Article 21. And in Article 21, if you read it the way they have it, it says that the citizens, if they should kill or wound a Moor who, you know, according to this, or on the contrary, if a Moor should kill or wound a citizen, it's almost making us equal. And in fact, it lowers the status of the Moor here with this capital M in front of it. And they wanted to make us equal with them so that they could exert our sovereignty over us. It's our job to put this out here the right way by affidavit. So no, we don't need their signature. Keep it. It's not really worth anything anyway. Our signatures and autographs are the ones that's worth the wealth of the earth. That's why we can't sign contracts with them anymore. So yes, how crime should be punished here, that's what it says here on this treaty. They made it so that they're equal, and in their system, okay, when you read this, in their system, because we thought we were parts of capitalism, in their system we lose every time. That's why their prisons filled up so quickly with the Moors. Because if they make us equal to them, but it's their system and not our system, then they're going to exert that over us. And that's what they did. And they were not going to fix it because it's not their job to fix it. It is the job of the sovereign to say, I am sovereign. It is the job of the sovereign to say, I am the sovereign on the earth. Sovereign, it's your job. Article 22. If an American citizen shall die in our country, let me stop there. They capitalize American because they know that they can use capital letters. They're not Americans, but every time they say, we're American citizens, they're saying it with a capital M. Okay? It's always a capital M as well. A capital A, rather. Hold on for just a moment. Let me see if I can get rid of that noise. Okay. When they say I'm an American, all they're doing is using capital letters to take to pretend to be us. They're not Americans. We're the Americans in all lowercase letters. But that's how they did it. And guess what? We did not rebut that, but we're rebutting it now. And each and every one of you, it is your national duty and your sovereign responsibility to continue to rebut that by affidavit. And then, you know, where our day-to-day is concerned, we get better and more diplomatic at rebuttal the more we do it. So, for example, I used to get really mad at these Albions. I used to really just be like, y'all know that's not us. So I had to stop doing that. And I had to calm down and say, okay, I'm going to practice diplomatically telling them who we are and who they are. So this is how I got better at it. I'm not perfect, but I got better at it. By whenever I go to the grocery store or wherever in the jurisdiction of my ancestral inherited estate, and they say, yes, ma'am, may I help you? I say, you can help me by not calling me ma'am, because that's British, which is where you all come from. I'm American. And Americans are not ma'am or sir or Mr. or Mrs. because those indicate bondage. And I say it with a smile. But you're not going to keep calling me that. You're not going to keep calling me that. And then I heard it twice this week. The first person who said that, and I corrected her at a drive-through, said, well, you know, I'm from Alabama, and they taught, and I was in the military, so we really got it like 2 or 3 times. I said, really? Well, you know what? It is incumbent upon you as a visitor on our land not to call us that, because we are not that. With a smile. No, you're not going to call me that. How would you like for me to call you an animal? Based on genetics, of course. Now, and I could use the excuse that, oh, that's just what we say in our Moorish nation. You all are animals. You know, I could do that, but I'm not going to do that. You're going to get it right. You're going to address the nobility. And if you don't know who we are, then that means that you're proving that you're unlawfully occupying if you don't recognize the nobility. You're on our land. How do you not know who we are? How does that happen? How did you come here and see, and these were the first faces that you saw, but you don't recognize that we don't use capital letters and that we're the nobility of the land, and you think I'm a ma'am? I'm not a ma'am. And each and every time, and
Excuse me,
they are
ma'am.
really,
I have a question for you, ma'am.
They're really slick with it too.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Very slick with it. They are very slick with it. I see I'm going to have to boot some people out of here.
But this Galleon is coming in our meeting disrespecting our mobile women. You need to just shut his mouth. Islam.
Yeah, Islam. We're not worried about it. They're not going to stop this because they want to call people outside of their nobility, and we're not having that. We're going to say it with a smile, and we're going to boot you with a smile. So, again, no one gets away with that, thank you, ma'am. Excuse me, I'm not a ma'am. I'm not a ma'am, and if you know, because I'll actually write an affidavit to the manager if you call me ma'am one more time. And I don't usually, and I've never had to say that because we don't have to wield our authority that way. We don't have to threaten that way. Okay? We don't have to do that. I've never had to say, I will send the biggest affidavit you've ever seen. I don't have to do that. We don't have to do that. We just, with a smile, I'm not a ma'am, period. Or don't smile. However you do it, however your energy flows. But one thing we don't have to do is get, come all outside of our nobility as the subjects, because they're still subjects. At the beginning and end of the day, they're the subjects. And subjects should not be able to push our buttons like that either. That means that they're still in control of you if they can push your buttons like that. And I'll be darned if they're going to be in control of me one more second. Not one. Not one. But that is how the nobility does. And now that we know that we don't have to worry about their court systems, we don't have to worry about that. To me, that was the biggest hurdle, is how in the world do we get past that big, ugly, hairy-looking monster that is their fake judges and their fake court systems and policy enforcers who don't know their subjects, or who they know they don't act like their subjects. How do we get past that monster? Well, we did it by having our own court actions on the public record. And each and every more, it is your national responsibility and it is your sovereign duty to do that. And I see something in the chat that says, know your enemy. We don't even have any enemies, believe it or not. We don't have any enemies. We do not have any enemies at all. None. Just a minute. Yep, we don't have any enemies at all. Okay? None. The subjects are not even enemies. Okay? They're subjects. Why would I hire a maid, okay, and then fight with her? Okay? That's not what we do. That is not what we do. We don't have to fight with them. Not even a little bit. Just a minute. Let me put that out. Let me get that out of here. Just a minute. Okay. We don't have to argue with these subjects on this landmass. We do not. Just a minute. We don't. Why? Because they're subjects. They have an obligation to the Moors. They have an obligation to us. Okay? And we don't have to wield that like a sword because our nobility says we don't have to prove anything to anybody. All we have to do is do this law. And then we can do commerce anywhere. Can you imagine what it's going to be like now that we are getting past their system, and we can go where we want to go, do whatever commerce we want to do, unencumbered. We still have a few steps to take to get there, and those steps are being taken all day, every day. But it's going to be absolutely amazing, because if you think about the freedom, what appears to be freedom that they've had on our land, we're actually supposed to be in that, having that freedom, where we can hop on a plane in any day of the week, just whenever we decide. If I want to go and have a luncheon with one of the empresses someplace else, that we can meet up somewhere in the middle at will. Or if we want to do universal commerce with some of our Asian brothers and sisters, that we'll be able to do that on a whim. Just make the plans and do it. We can't do that if our government is not governing. And the only way to do that is by the law. We must continue conquering that system over there. And it's not even a matter of conquering it, because we've already done that. We did that the minute we woke up and took a breath and said, oh, I'm a Moor. It's a wrap then. Okay? But that system, it all started with capital letters, just like in this treaty. And now that you're looking at the treaty and you see where they switched it and capitalized more and uncapitalized citizens, that's why they've been able to do what they've been able to do. And guess what we did with this treaty? Instead of us decapitalizing it and decapitating it, what did we do? We took it to them and said, you have to obey this. And then we wondered, why are they still doing the stuff they're doing? Well, they know that ignorance is no excuse. And now we know. Now that we know, as a nation, we're fixing this document and placing it in affidavit form on the public record by the Moors. And each one of you have the, if you want to place it on the public record, once the decapitalized version is out there, you can. And if you don't have to.
I have a question.
Okay. Jean, you're not allowed to speak in this meeting at all, actually. No, you don't get to speak in here. I'm going to boot you right now, actually.
Okay.
Let me go ahead and do that right now.
Coward.
No. You're out of here.
You're a coward. You're a coward.
I'm actually a Moorish American national, and you don't get away with that either.
And I'm going to
say, you're what? I'm sorry. What did you say? Okay, never mind. I guess she didn't want to continue her sentence. And so now that we know what they've been doing, okay, don't laugh, Justice Theodore. Now that we know what they've been doing, we can fix that. And that's what we're doing as a nation. Those who are going to be moving into universal commerce, which many of us are, you will want to put it, the decapitalized version, issued by you, the government, on the public record. You will want to do that. Okay? So that your ships, the sovereign vessels that we use to transport our goods, is honored. No matter what landmass you go on, that treaty decapitalized sent by this government, which is all of you Moors, is honored on all landmasses. They all have a copy of the original treaty. That was in all lowercase letters. They all have a copy of it. They just needed us to wake up and fix it on this land mass. Article 23. The consuls.
May I interject?
I'm sorry. Sure, go ahead, Empress.
Could you go back to 22, where
Sure.
it was saying American citizen? So should that be changed to United States citizen?
No, it can be United States citizens when we do the treaty for the other indigenous nations. Okay.
Okay.
Either way is going to be correct when it's in all lowercase letters. United States in all lowercase letters is not the Albions at all.
Right.
Where the indigenous people are in all lowercase letters, the United States. That's why that's the first thing that Thomas Jefferson did when he got his orders from England and France. He capitalized the U and the S. That's the first thing he had to do, or he couldn't do nothing with the document. He couldn't do commerce.
22, we're talking about American citizens. You're talking about the Moors?
No, we're not American citizens. That's why it says Moors in some of these, and then it says American citizens in others. Right. American citizens are those who have come here who are not us, but they're here lawfully. So there will be some Albions who are American citizens, okay, but they're here lawfully and they know their subject status, and they are honoring the status of the Moors. And the Prophet Noble Ali said it'll be about 7 or 8 of those because he likes good beans and peas. Those are American citizens.
So we should capitalize American and citizen as well?
It will be in all lowercase letters to indicate that they are ours. They are citizens on our land.
Okay. All right. All right. Thank you.
And this document uses things like American citizen and all of that. There's some interchangeability going on in the document. So in Article 22, if an American citizen shall die in our country, because see, they don't have a country, so they have to, it's our country. That's why it says that. Okay. If an American citizen shall die in our country, and no will shall appear, the consul shall take possession of his effects. Again, you are the consuls, you are the law, you're the justices on the land. Every last one of you is a judge. Every last one of you. And as soon as you step into your judge responsibilities and duties, by holding court actions on those who are unlawfully occupying your land, you will absolutely shut down any of those fake courts that's doing fake stuff in that territory. You must do it. It's your national duty and your responsibility as a sovereign, or else you cannot complain about them pulling people over and stopping people and just dogging people out in your territory, because it's your territory. That's your territory, Moors. Wherever you domicile is your territory. If an American citizen shall die in our country and no will shall appear, the consul shall take possession of his effects. And if there shall be no consul, which is a no-no, there should always be a consul, the effects shall be deposited in the hands of some person worthy of trust until the party shall appear who has a right to demand them. But if the heir to the person deceased be present, the property shall be delivered to him without interruption. Okay? Now, what's important about this too is that slaves cannot own property. But when the citizens get in alignment with the law, then their clothes and their shoes and the things that they, that's their property, their effects. And their effects and their property really means their children, because they can't own anything else on our land. They just can't. Okay? That's why none of them have titles to their properties. Okay? And it says, and if a will shall appear, the property shall descend agreeable to that will, as soon as the consul shall declare the validity thereof. So again, when we decapitalize this, the consul is in charge of everything, right? Yes. You all, we are in charge of the land. Article 23, the consuls of the United States of America. That's still the Moors. And it would actually be changed to the consuls of the United States for America. The consuls, because we don't use the word of means without. The consuls for the United States for America, that's us, in all lowercase letters, shall reside, and again, we'll change the word because again, this is a English colonial translation of that which was in Arabic. We have the authority as the living heirs to fix this hot mess, and we shall reside in any seaport of our dominion that they shall think proper. And again, we are the law, we are the government, and the dominions belong to the heirs. And they shall be respected and enjoy all the privileges which the consuls of any other nation enjoy. And if any of the citizens of the United States shall contract any debts or engagements, the consul shall not be in any manner accountable for them, unless he shall have given a promise in writing for the payment or fulfilling thereof, without which promise in writing no application to him for any redress shall be made. This is the article that tells us that we must terminate all corporate contracts so that we are not answerable for the hot mess that they're doing with capital letters. This is that article when it's in its proper case. Okay, do not contract with them. Anything that we need, we do it by affidavit. Okay, Article 24. If any differences shall arise by either party infringing on any of the articles of this treaty, peace and harmony shall remain, notwithstanding in the fullest force, until a friendly application shall be made for an arrangement. Until that application shall be rejected, no appeal shall be made to arms. And if a war shall break out between the parties, 9 months shall be granted to all the subjects of both parties to dispose of their effects and retire with their property. If we get to fighting, the subjects can leave and go do what they need to do and take their children with them. But we're not supposed to be at war, because when you do the etymology on the word war, it means confusion. If there's any confusion between the Moors, then the subjects can leave and go take their children. Okay? There should not be confusion between us. That's why I said what I said at the beginning. Confusion starts with what comes out of our mouths. Let's not be confused. Confusion starts with someone saying something negative about their nation or whatever, or about one another. And confusion means war. That's why they have the term, those are fighting words. Well, we're the nobility. We're not supposed to be doing that.
Islam.
Taj
Tariq is a child molester. Taj Tariq is a child molester. Taj Tariq is a child molester.
Oh, well, okay. You all are like, wow. So they really want to stop us, y'all. They really do. They really do not want us to do this because they can't eat unless we do. Okay? They cannot eat without us. Yes, they are very. I'm looking in the chat, and the Moors are laughing at that one. That is very sad. It's very sad that they feel. Because see, remember when we were asleep, I can remember this when I was younger, and this is not all Albions, but this is those ones that feel like they feel like what they're doing is stopping something when it's really not. They used to be so nice and so kind and sweet, and they pat you on the top of your head when you're fast asleep. But now that we are wide awake and governing our own vast estate, okay, now we're stuck with that type of subject behavior. That's confusion right there. They're confused. For him to say something like that, he's confused. He just proved our point. What comes out of your mouth determines whether people see you as confused or not. We're not mad at him. We're not mad at any of the Albions that have shown up here in this meeting. We love them, but they're confused if they think they're going to stop us. There was a time when they used to use the Constitution. They used to quote the Constitution. When I was growing up, I grew up in Alabama territory. And the Albions used to quote their Constitution left and right because we didn't know what the heck they were talking about. And that was done to intimidate us into thinking that no matter what, the policy enforcers are going to back them up. Okay, that's what that was programming. Okay, but now they have moved completely away from that. And now all they can do is come in and say stuff like, you all are stupid. Well, come on, y'all. Use some law to support a stance. You know, entertain our minds. Use the law. Back up what you say with the law. Because that other stuff, we don't have any, you know, there's no need to descend there. We can actually boot you and not feel bad about it. This is a judicial meeting with judges and justices and consuls of the Moorish American Consulate. And if you come in talking crazy like that, Albion, we have, you know, we know we're the government and we're the law, and you all are on our land. So you all might have some questions about what's going on and if we're going to do whatever, okay? And the answer to that is no, you don't own anything here, so we can cut down 98% of the questions with that one. Okay, but you must come supporting what you say using the law of the land, not any of that color of law. We're talking the supreme law of the land so that we can better assist. The government is to assist the inhabitants of the land, and we'll do that if they have a valid claim. And so far, we haven't seen any valid claims come through. It's been, you're so stupid, you're so stupid. That's not a valid claim. It's not a valid claim. It's not a valid claim. And we're not being arrogant, but you all have to come with the law. Okay? Because there are some subjects who know their status. And we need to hear from them so that we can tell them how to behave on this landmass. Okay? Now, Article 24, if any differences shall arise by either party infringing on any of the articles of this treaty, peace and harmony shall remain notwithstanding in the fullest force until a friendly application shall be made for an arrangement, and until that application shall be rejected, no appeal shall be made to arms. No appeal shall be made to arms. We don't need guns, y'all, just so you know. We don't need guns. They have, listen, we hear people talking about guns all day, every day, and they have not stopped anything that we've done. Our teachers are still teaching. We're still learning. So clearly, our pens are mightier than the sword. Okay? Always going to be that. Always going to be that. When we're competent, the guns have to do what we say. And if a war shall break out between the parties, 9 months shall be granted to all the subjects of both parties to dispose of their effects and retire with their property. Disposing of effects, that's anything that you thought was yours. You can't take that with you. Dispose means give it back to, leave it on the land, okay? And then take your property, which is your kids, okay? And that's for the subject. And it is further declared that whatever indulgences in trade or otherwise shall be granted to any of the Christian powers, and Christian powers was not supposed to be capitalized here either, okay? Christian powers is not Albion's. Christian powers is more who are Christians, or more who put the Christian, because again, Grand Sheikh Tajiri Bey has always said that everything belongs, it all started with the Moors. We gave them Christianity so they would know how to behave in the presence of God. Okay? And that's going to go over some heads, but y'all get it. The Moors get it. Okay? And it is further declared that whatever indulgences in trade or otherwise, hold on for just a moment. Let me see where that's coming from. Okay, there it is. 3, 2, 6. Just a minute. Let me see if I can. And so, again, it is further declared that whatever indulgences in trade or otherwise shall be granted to any of the Christian powers, the citizens of the United States shall be equally entitled to them. Okay? So, again, they're spending a lot of time, they're more in attendance of our meetings than some of the Moors are. The citizens of the United States shall be equally entitled to them. Okay, so again, Christian powers, that is initially Christianity, again, started with the Moors. Okay, it started with us. And they capitalized it, and then they took it for their own. Okay, just a moment. See where that echo is coming from. So, again, to put capital letters on Christianity in this particular document, they changed the wording and the status. Okay, just a moment. Let me delete that out of here. They changed the status of that which is called Christian powers, because in reality they didn't even really want to be under Christianity either, because it would separate them, not really separate them, but you would know that you know who the Christ is because you know who the Christians are. Okay? They brought a cross and a flag here and said, with these signs we conquer. Again, there are some Christian Moors, and listen, you're still a part of this nation, whether you want to be or not, because you still have the blood. And it's kind of like that thing, and that's where those people doing things like saying, oh, you're in the mafia, once in, you can, there's only one way out. It's kind of like that. Jurisdiction cannot be waived even by consent of both parties. We're in the sovereign jurisdiction, period. Okay? Let's see. And I think, let me see. It says Article 25, this treaty shall continue in full force with the help of God for 50 years. Now, when we lowercase God, it's talking about the heirs, with the help of the heirs, because that's really the only way the treaty could have been done. And for those who are Christians who may have a bit of an issue with that, if you look in Psalms and in some of the other books, or you can just Google "ye are gods," it's always, whenever the scripture says "ye are gods," it has the G in lowercase because it is the actual truth. Period. We are that. Okay? Let me see. There's a little bit of noise going on one of the lines, and so I'm going to have to mute that line, *6. So again, you know, with the help of God, as you know, and some may know that, the Bibliotheliotech and the Septuagint and the Maccabees and the Apocrypha say, "I have said ye are God." Okay? Because we are. And if you go back far enough in history, about 5,780 years ago, you will notice that we created the Albion in our laboratory. That's how we know their chromosome count, and that's how we know their DNA type. Period. Okay? And again, it's not a bad thing, it just is. It's a fact. We don't wield that like a sword, because you don't have to wield a fact. It just is. They know who they are. I've seen them even talk about who they are and where they come from. I was watching an interview with a guy, his name is Joe Rogan, and he was doing an interview of another Albion by the name of Elon Musk, and they talked about how they come from monkeys and what the monkeys do, et cetera, et cetera. They know who they are. We're the only ones who did not know, because we were hit in the head, Hiram Abyss. And we're awake now. Okay? This treaty shall continue in full force with the help of God for 50 years. With the heirs, when we put this in all lowercase letters, we can say that it will be for 50 years. Because when we put United States in all lowercase letters and say the United States for America, okay, then that means the indigenous nations of the earth. Okay? Let me see. Just a minute. Let me see if I can get that closed off. Just a minute. Okay.
Islam.
Islam.
So the way to do it is, once you cut them out, you just lock it for a while. Once you because they're coming 3 in series now.
They are.
Smart.
Yeah, I did lock it. That's the thing. I locked it, and I've unlocked it 2 or 3 times, and the count goes up, and yes. and then they start cutting up and acting crazy. So it says, we have delivered this book into the hands of the before-mentioned Thomas Barclay, and in our treaty, this would be, we're going to deliver this in the hands of Donald J. Trump. Okay. And we'll just send it by affidavit, and we'll place it on the public record, and we will, and it doesn't require a signature, it doesn't require consent, because this is our land, okay?
Bullshit.
But I believe that he knows you know, where everything is and what's going on, et cetera, et cetera.
Bullshit.
He is well aware of all of this, okay? He really is. And he's doing all that he can in terms of keeping the citizens calm while this transition happens, and they know it too. That's why all of this is going on like this. Let me see if I can throw that one other person out. I need to throw one more of them out of here. I mean, they, boy, let's see. Let me get that one too, while I'm at it. Okay. We have delivered this book into the hands of the before-mentioned Thomas Barclay on the first day of the blessed month of Ramadan, and Ramadan should not even be in capital letters. It should be in lowercase letters. Okay? In the year 1200, and we'll just do, 1440, and 1440 on the sun calendar, 1441 on the moon calendar, and that way we all know. See, they know too that when we put this on the public record that all that foolishness that's been going on this land stops. All of it stops. And when I say all, I do mean all. All of that foolishness stops. And the Moors must continue to demonstrate their nationality. Okay? I certify that the annex is a true copy of the translation made by Isaac Cordoza Nunez, interpreter at Morocco, of the treaty between the Emperor of Morocco and the United States of America. Emperor of Morocco should not have been in capital letters, because now you're talking about someone pretending. It shouldn't have been in capital letters, because that indicates a lowered status. And we know that as emperors and empresses, we don't have a lowered status. We are the sovereign status. So that's how you know that this needs to be fixed. It needs to be fixed. And that's what reading it today and Thursday was all about, is as a nation, we're going to fix this, and we'll be putting out the decapitalized version and leaving a space for, if any of the Moors want to sign it and put it on the public record where you are, that this is again going to be yet another affidavit, okay, because we speak by affidavit. So it won't, I mean, technically it won't even really be a treaty, but an affidavit is saying unilaterally what must be done. In other words, we're giving commands, okay? We don't negotiate with terrorists, and we don't negotiate with subjects. We just tell them, this is what you'll do while you're here, right here. And if you're not in alignment with this, the provost marshal will be by to chat with you in the way that provost marshals tend to chat. So let's see. Additional article, Grace to the Only God. Let me just stop right there, and I'm going to let y'all think about that for a minute. Grace to the only God. Yes, that's you all. When God is in all lowercase letters, there is none higher. Grace to the only God. It's in the bibliotext. Don't, I'm just the messenger. And then he goes into a statement about, let's see, I, the underwritten, the servant of God. Whenever they say the servant of God, you're talking, that's a Pope agent. An agent of the Pope, when it's God with a capital G, that is an agent of the Pope who has stepped down. Tahir bin Abdelkat Finish do certify that His Imperial Majesty, my master, okay, and even by saying His Imperial Majesty and making that capitalized, And then he said, my master in lowercase letters. He's not even saying that the imperial majesty is his master. Okay? He's saying something else. Whom God preserve. Just a minute. Having concluded a treaty of peace and commerce with the United States of America, has ordered me the better to complete it, and in addition of the 10th article of the treaty to declare that if any vessel belonging to the United States shall be in any of the ports of His Majesty's dominions or within gunshot of his forts, she shall be protected as much as possible, and no vessel whatever belonging either to Moorish. For those who say we're not Moorish Americans, we actually are Moorish Americans in lowercase letters, all lowercase letters. Moorish or Christian powers, and by the way, Moorish or Christian powers, the Christian powers is Moors too, or they don't have any power. So let's put that out there on the public record as well. With whom the United States may be at war, and we are not at war, we're at peace, shall be permitted to follow or engage her as we now deem the citizens of America our good friends. So then that tells me that there were some citizens that were warring, and they had to clear that up with God. And in obedience to His Majesty's commands, I certified this declaration by putting my hand and seal to it on the 18th day of Ramadan in the year 1200. The servant of the king, my master, whom God preserved. Tahir bin Abdelkat finished. And then it says, I do certify that the above is a true copy of the translation made at Morocco. That is funny language right there. When it says, I do certify that the above is a true copy of the translation, he's saying this is not a true copy of the treaty. It's a true copy of the translation made at Morocco by Isaac Cordoza Nunez, interpreter, of a declaration made and signed by Sidi Haj Tahir Finish, in addition to the treaty. Just one moment. Just a minute. I'll get him out of here. Goodbye. Okay. Okay. I do certify that the above is a true copy of the translation made at Morocco by Isaac Cordoza Nunez, interpreter, of a declaration made and signed by Sidi Haj Tahir Finish, in addition to the treaty between the Emperor of Morocco and the United States of America, which declaration the said Tahir Finish made by the express directions of His Majesty. Thomas Barclay. And it says there, even beneath that, the Ramadan of the year of the Hijra 1200 commenced on the 28th of June in the year of our Lord, 1785. I believe it says 1785 or 1786, actually. So that is the treaty. And what we'll do is, yes, go ahead, Justice Gilmore.
A quick comment there. If you'll notice that what you just read gives you the 585-year difference in the calendar, so-called Gregorian and Moorish calendar.
Yes. Islam. Absolutely, absolutely. That's a great observation, Justice Gilmore. Even though the treaty has the year 1200, is it 1200?
Yes, and 1786 is 585 difference. or 586
yes, it is.
difference. Yes.
Yes, it is. And then on the final page, 105, now know ye that we, the said John Adams and Thomas Jefferson, ministers plenipotentiary aforesaid, do approve and conclude the said treaty, and every article and clause therein contained, reserving the same, nevertheless, to the United States and Congress assembled for their final ratification. So this is saying that the copy is what they took and ratified. So this is what they ratified, but this is not what they were given. Okay. In testimony whereof we have signed the same with our names and seals, and the fact that they use the word name means that they know that they're subjects because we don't have names. Okay. We don't have names. We have appellations. Just a minute, let me put. Just a minute.
Children, you tell them don't touch the red button, so they go playing with the red button.
Just a minute. Hang on, just a second. They really do not want us to do this.
And now they're using so-called Jewish names. And,
Yeah. Again, they we're not going to give them any energy though.
Exactly.
So we'll go right back to the treaty. Let's go right back to the treaty. Okay. So Islam.
Yes, like just before rounding off, I just wanted to also talk about the moon, what's going on in a few days. Please just let me know when the chime in.
Okay, just a second. Justice Malik, hold on for just a second. Let me get that one out of here too. Go ahead, Justice Malik. Say that again. Justice Malik?
Yes, I'm here. Okay, so just let me know. Just let me know when to chime in, and I'll go ahead and I'll go ahead and say what it is that is happening.
Okay. Great. Beautiful. Thank you. You know, I always appreciate that. I wasn't sure whether you were on the call or not. Actually, Justice Theodore, there are about 7 or 8 of them in here, or that's been coming back and forth today. About 7 or 8 or 9 Albions or whomever that's been coming back and forth in the meeting doing things. But we're not going to give them any energy. Go ahead, Justice Malik. Tell us what's going on with the stars.
Okay. So basically, we have a new moon that is happening in Taurus. This is happening April 22nd. And this is 3 degrees of Taurus. So when it comes to a new moon occurs when you have the moon and the sun conjuncting with each other. And basically anything is possible at this point under every new moon. This happens once every 30 days. So this is where we plant our seeds of intention. You know, usually when we're planting the seeds, usually in the dark, because the new moon is the darkest time or the darkest phase of the moon, right? So this indicates a fresh start, good time to request or ask what it is that you want, and then just let it go. You know, to see where the guidance of the ancestors, you know, takes us. So let's go over Taurus very quickly. Taurus is ruled by Venus. It's a earthy, grounded, sensual, pampering, caring, self-caring, dependable, fixed energy, stable, holds down something that you've begun, and it basically asks what your values are. What is beauty to you? What's happening in your money, right? And this talks about real estate, economics, personal finances, housing, nurturing of selves, and food. And in conjunction with the new moon in Taurus, we have also Uranus. Uranus has been there in Taurus, and for those of you who don't know, Uranus actually deals with surprises, bringing something different to the table, something unexpected, freedom, rebellion, and in all, this brings a lot of positivity, technology with the people, values in it, and breakthroughs. Pay attention to all devices during this time. This also deals with uncovering the truth, unexpected changes happening, sharing what is thought or felt, and always making info absolutely and technically solid. So this is what these are the energies that's playing for the next 30 days all the way out, and I'm going to get to why it's going to be a little bit longer, or why it's going to be held out through the next few months, and how this plays a role into what's happening in a few days after the 22nd. Because in a few days after the 22nd, we actually have a retrograde happening. This is when the planet actually starts, or it looks like it's moving backwards. And this is happening in Pluto, right? Pluto's the planet of transformation. And this is happening for a full 5 months. So what is being done moving forward is being done to achieve the Capricorn energy, or better question is, what are you doing to achieve Capricorn energy, right? Which means, status, being not only status, but being the authority. This deals with the law and so forth. So that's basically what the new moon is all about. There's definitely more information on the new moon and the different playouts of the planets. And you can find more information. One of the great astrologers that I listen to is Stormy Grace, so you could check her out. You can always find out more information on that. Another thing is this is so we'll come up with what's going on with the retrograde in Pluto on Thursday when we have our Thursday call. Now, apart from that, as far as the affidavits and so forth and putting everything capitis nolo, I have done that for the universal commercial code statement lien. I've done that for the notification of affidavit as well as the cover letter, and for the universal affidavit of termination of all of corporate contracts. So for those of you who haven't done that yet and you guys want to be able to get started on those, all you have to do is just send me an email, and I'm more than happy to go ahead and send you the document. All you have to do is just fill in the areas where you put in your appellation and so forth, and you'll see once you get the document, you'll be able to see where to fill in and so forth. And if there's anything that you want to adjust on it, feel free to do that. And yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and put the my email in the chat right now. And apart from that, Islam, Grand Rising to the Moors.
Islam.
Thank you.
Yes. So, I want to say that more, do your study on capitalization and make sure that that even when you get templates, even if you get templates from us, make sure that there's no corporate language in the template. You all must know and be able to do that for yourselves, okay? That there's nothing that is saying fill in your social security number, or and I'm not saying that because Justice Malik is good, but still look at all documents, even the ones that are coming from the website, even the ones that are coming, from wherever they're coming from. Be sure that they're not asking you for anything like socials and all of that kind of stuff like that, because that stuff is fraud. We want to stay away from all corporate language, and we want to remain in capitis nolo. Okay, and we want to do it in red. If you can do it in red, do it in red writing. Okay, and then whenever you're referring to the colonizers or whomever, there's capital letters in your stuff, unless it's a subject, someone who has consented to subject status and is doing what they're supposed to be doing. Islam, nobility.
The gentleman was, not gentleman, excuse me. The brother was talking about his email, but I don't have a screen. Is there any way I could just maybe get an email from you with his information? I have you as a Facebook friend, and I do have your email.
Justice Malik's email is. Oh, go ahead, Justice. Go ahead, Justice Malik.
Okay. Yeah, it's unibasketballverse@gmail.com. So it's just like universe, basketball in the middle. I'll spell it out. UNIbasketballverse@gmail.com.
Now, Justice Malik, I'm going to put you on the spot, and I'm sure you won't mind, because I tell people this even with all of our documents and everything too.
Absolutely.
You all look at whatever documents you receive from anyone, including Justice Malik and myself, and make sure that those documents are competent documents, that they are not putting you back into slavery and we would never do that. We would never do that. But you need to be competent, and you need to first rely on yourself and your studies, okay? And anybody who's really doing the right thing won't mind being tested, okay? We won't mind saying, look at our documents, and if you find a mistake, correct us by all means.
Yeah,
okay?
Exactly. Hey, if you guys can go ahead and read through it, please. If you find anything to correct, go ahead and correct. The more we can go over the document and make sure that everything is good, the better.
Islam.
The better. Islam.
And that's all I wanted as far as for my own arsenal, is to get more documents, more information, so that I surround my whole entire 360.
Islam, absolutely. That's beautiful. And more. Just all I can say is continue studying, continue demonstrating. We have done it. It's a wrap. It's a wrap. It's a wrap. Y'all can see it's a wrap. You can tell by the way they cutting up. It's a wrap. It's done. Okay, we got it done just by listen. And not one of us picked up a gun. That's some fire. Okay, not one of us picked up a gun. And they're coming at us like that. Not one of us picked up a gun. Not one. All we did was, and they said it, listen, they said, those affidavits ain't doing nothing. I haven't heard that in months. You better believe that the only way they were able to steal anything, it wasn't by a gun. They did it by paper. The pen is always going to be mightier than the sword, baby, all day. Okay? We got this, more. Keep floating that paper. That's tougher than any bullet. That paper got them going. Okay? Keep sending it. And then, thank y'all for knowing that the Albions are trying to do whatever they're doing, but we still got it. We still got it. They still haven't stopped anything because we're going to have another call next week. So, it's all good. With that, hey, I yield the floor. More peace and grand rising, and please keep sending that paper because it has.
You might.